The AI is not doing what I want with front lines. I'm having to redraw some stuff, and hmm. I don't really want you. Oh, okay. Ah, she's doing the same thing I do when I'm streaming Wildermyth. She's reading out loud the story things. I just noticed. Yeah, I do that. I don't know if my audience likes it or not, but I do it. I hope the audience enjoys it. Sorry, I just had to redraw like all these front lines because actually that would make more sense. And that boom. One division. Yeah. There we go. Okay, all redrawn. So yeah, besides like not wanting to deal with the micro of the overwhelming, and I mean the US has a few decent templates to start, so whatever, I guess. Hold on. This offensive has gone far better than I thought it would, so I'm sending some reinforcements to a battle. Or, you know what? Boom. Cover the rear. But yeah, I also trying to get command power for admirals because you have to recruit like a zillion admirals to get ones with good personality traits. It's very often you roll garbage.
Yeah.
I wish there was a way to just like fire admirals you don't want. Like you hire them and they have level 1 and they have no skills. It's like, okay, sorry, no, I don't want you. It may not seem reasonable, but because the cost of each admiral goes up the more you already have until you reach 100 CP per admiral.
Yeah.
So it would save you like command power doing that, even though I guess even like no skill admirals, there's an argument to be made for having more so you can like specialize them in certain terrain traits. Like,
I wish they
inshore.
just didn't use RNG. Like it'd be nice if it was just like every other admiral you hired had a trait or something. You know, instead of it just being a
No.
flat dice roll. I don't
If,
know.
if that would just still give you a bunch of useless garbage. What they could do is they could make it so you
Yeah,
pay extra command power to get an admiral who has the trait that the spirit
yeah,
would
there you
get.
go.
Like, gives you the
That works better.
option. I would gladly pay, twice as much command power instead of rolling 50-50 a lot of times.
Yeah,
Or maybe it costs a little less than twice as much because no skill admirals still have a marginal use. Except then it makes other ones more
yeah,
expensive. Yeah, I would pay twice as much command power to guarantee an admiral with Sea Wolf instead of,
yeah,
or Blockade Runner instead of having a 50% chance of like, well, actually it's a 1 in 4 chance of nothing, one
yeah,
and 50% of one of them, and 25% on both, I think, or maybe they're mutually exclusive. So
hmm.
maybe it's like a 1/3 chance of each of the outcomes. But I would gladly pay more command power just to not have to deal with the useless admirals who don't have any personality. But they could get like
Yeah,
personality traits. They could get someone who doesn't have a skill but starts as a chief engineer, which is a personality trait. Like it basically means that they were once an engineer on a ship and got promoted up, like, because in the Navy, engineers are like not officers, they're like enlisted. So this is someone who presumably became an officer after being an enlisted engineer at some point, which has
yeah,
unique advantages to actually understanding how the ship works. Or maybe they had an engineering degree. I'm not sure what it's supposed to represent. An engineering degree before they became an admiral. Either way, they're someone who actually understands how the ship works, which most of your admirals don't. They don't have that technical expertise. So But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's part of why I'm going to spend massive amounts of command power to get admirals who are like chief engineers or gentlemen or have a naval lineage background. It might not seem worthwhile. Um, just stay put. Um, but basically, since we're going to be waiting a really long time for any like, maybe Spain will try and like push into Latin America. If they do, like they'll lose. They might give you some trouble with like any sea trade. Which are you even moving anything over the Caribbean?
How do I tell?
If you go to your Navy view, it might show any like routes, and if you go to supply, it'll show you if you got like supplies or sometimes on lease. So either the supply or the Navy overlays will show you like any routes that your convoys are doing things on.
No, I'm only trading with Washington. It looks like
Yeah. Oh, you're just buying Washington? You mean me?
I see a green line connecting Mexico City and Washington. I don't know what is.
If you hover over it, it'll tell you on a tooltip what that is.
Oh yeah, tungsten oil.
Oh, you're. Oh, because I'm buying tungsten oil from you.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
That's it. So no, I'm not doing much with the Caribbean.
Are you importing any resources from anyone?
Nope.
Nope.
Haven't
Ah.
needed to in a while.
Oh.
Although I am actually that's not I am supplying Cancun through the water. So I think that might pass through the Caribbean Sea.
Hold on, I just took a province. I have to redraw a front line again.
But that's it. Just supplying the Yucatan, really.
Oh yeah. So yeah, and you could actually, you're not doing any. You're not doing any. Actually, you don't have any troops in Yucatan, so you could actually, to get a convoy back, you could set the Gulf of Mexico to a restricted Z zone, like set it to access level blot, and it'll
Yeah.
shut down that convoy route, and then you can use that convoy to send stuff to Spain once you have the rifles. That will, yeah. I should have suggested that earlier. It will get in the way of if your fleet was doing exercises there, but they're not doing exercises there anymore since I think you have them on shore bombardment, right?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Are they in the sea province south of Houston, or are they in the one that's off the coast of the jungle still?
I moved them to the one south of Houston.
Okay, I was gonna say so that you actually help, so they're actually supporting the fight in
Matamoros.
Matamoros. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I would set the season to blot, and then once I've unpaused, that should shut down the convoy, and you'll get the convoy back in your stockpile that way.
Okay.
So, all right, I might have to wait for the day to tick over. Actually,
Yeah, I see it. I've got enough though. I've got 8. So it's right now I'm mostly bottlenecked by the infantry equipment.
huh? Somehow I'm getting supplies in West Virginia again. It must be that as I took some of Tennessee, I have enough control of the rivers now, or something. There is a river, I think, somewhere around there. I don't know. I'm getting supply there again. Maybe I don't need those railroads. It's probably a good idea anyways, just especially since the supply seems to be bottlenecked. I'm only getting level 1 supply there. Uh, yeah, it'll relieve the bottleneck in theory.
to ramble through from the hungry to congregate. Anywhere's crossing is unsafe, but certainly this is more true in Mitherform than it has ever been in your life. You can say that, but my life might surprise you. Without turning to see if that's all, she walked off. All right, come on, Caleb, Brianna.
Okay, sorry, I was looking at
Hey,
supply
what?
things. You can get lost in that if you're not careful. um,
Yeah.
They're waving, guys.
trying to look at the supply network and see if I really needed this railroad. I do, but it's not a high priority, which is why I'm working on it with just 2 factories.
Then I do get it. Oh, I can give them a rivalry or make them friends. If I'm putting it simply, don't make it hard for her.
Hmm.
I'm gonna roll the dice. You want them to be friends? Give them a chance? Do you mean right? Her and the dragon, which she or whom she seems to have love for, are jealous. It's a big thing you're asking me. I know. Right? How about the bees?
Oh, shit.
Brianna?
Huh?
Ever.
I think, yeah, they just lost their movement. That sucks.
Who just lost the moment?
I had some people on their way to someplace, and then I changed front line, and then they just stopped and teleported back to their province and lost like several days of movement.
Sorry for changing. Hold on, because I'm trying to understand what you're saying. And you
I
change.
deleted their front line and rebuilt it, and then they stopped. They
Oh,
halted
they
it and
stopped.
lost
I
their
see what you're
movement.
saying.
And
I
that's
see.
I should have just waited. I hate stupid little stuff like that. Like once in EU4, once you've moved halfway there, you cannot cancel it. You have to continue moving into that province,
Oh yeah, yeah, they do
which
that.
means you can't lose it. But here I was like 90% of the way there, and they just stopped, and it all disappeared.
Hmm.
That sucks. It should at least be able to be continued with the same time. If less than a week has passed, it like I don't know.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah, I get.
finicky. That shouldn't have even made them stop. I'm just changing plans. They shouldn't undermine my direct orders like that.
Yeah, it can get weird with the. There's little things like that that are huge irritation.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do as much as you did.
Hmm.
I
Just
can't do it.
realized I was checking it. Maybe I should have put command power on extra ground crews instead of giving a guy a
Construction's
promotion.
done.
What?
Construction's done. Construction 3.
Ah,
So
yeah.
advanced machine tools next.
Yep. That's probably what I would do. Got to keep up with
Alrighty.
those industry techs. And not delays. I mean, you'll eventually need other stuff that like you'll want to assign MIOs, but by doing these things first, you can have the access to political power sooner. All other things being equal, the political power is a tiebreaker probably. How much do you have saved up?
Political power 46.
Oh yeah, you can almost or no, couldn't you how much does it take to oh yeah, you were gonna assassinate traitors for the war support, not yeah, you need 75 for that. That's right. All right, cool.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, it didn't even I
What?
missed that I had a sea battle going on. Ah,
Would
yeah,
Would an elusive gentleman be a good political advisor to hire?
Yeah, eventually he'll give you an extra spy. But I would suggest you get a war industrialist from Military Budget Review, and he'll make increasing your conscription a lot cheaper. So he'll pay for his own political power costs
Oh, should I
via.
hire him next?
I wouldn't do it next, but eventually, when you're getting ready to
Oh,
raise conscription law, I would hire him at least, if not sooner for
all
the
right.
military factory build speed. But you're not building military factories right now, I don't think.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh,
There's dockyard build speed, right?
oh yeah, he does give dockyard build speed too. That's right. Sorry, we just
Which,
sunk a.
well, I haven't
Looks
started that yet. But do I want to build the dockyard before I build the Veracruz infrastructure, or is the infrastructure still important?
the infrastructure still makes the dockyard do faster, so you should definitely do it.
Okay. And should I manually build that all the infrastructure levels in Veracruz, or should I just do the rural focus?
I would
The
just go to
rural
level 4 infrastructure, and because you'll get one from focus, and then do the dockyard there.
Yeah.
Like just one
Okay.
dockyard. I think I suggested adding like reducing the number of civ factories in Veracruz by 1 because I think you had 4 queued up. So I think I
Yep.
would reduce
So
that
one
to
dockyard, 3 civ.
yes, and I would put the dockyard just ahead of. I would put the dockyard right after the infrastructure, but I would probably
Okay.
do the Mexico City civilian factors after the dockyard before the Veracruz ones because Mexico City already has max infrastructure, I think. Yeah. So
After the dockyard, I shouldn't build these next.
I would do the Veracruz infrastructure, then the
Oh,
Veracruz dockyard, one or two of
oh,
those,
I see.
and then I would do the Mexico City civ factories because Mexico City has better infrastructure. But you can't build dockyards in Mexico City because it's not coastal. Otherwise, I
Yeah.
would say build them there.
All right.
It's not close enough to the ocean, I guess, to make the components there and ship them to the coast. So, and this is gonna slow. Keep in mind the dockyards are gonna slow your civ because you're probably gonna need to import steel at that point if you're putting them on additional ships. Like probably
Yeah.
speeding up work on that capital ship because like
Well,
what's the ETA in the capital ship right now?
1943 December.
Yeah, you're gonna need more dockyards than that. So
Yeah.
like that's I mean it was good to get a start and like make use of the steel you had available, but you're gonna need more, or that's not gonna be practically done. You're gonna end up with like 90% of a ship and never actually get the ship, and you just
Yeah.
it's not it's all or nothing on actually getting the ship done. So the Confederates have deployed. Oh, I'm like, how do the Confederates have tanks? The Italians have sent them volunteers. This is an Italian tank division.
Oh.
It's just popped up in Texas. It even has an Italian flag, says Italy in parentheses, and it's called Division Solre, which is the name of an Italian tank template.
Yeah.
These guys are defending along a river. Okay. I'm just going to put them on a fallback line because... Or, no, I could assign them to a different front. I just don't want them to actually attack anywhere because... I need them to entrench and hold the rear. Yeah. So I've taken Dallas. One of my divisions, because it's still... The Confederates hadn't moved their capital yet. Took part in the occupation of Dallas, former seat of Confederate government. One of my guys can get a medal now from taking Dallas. Cool. I'm not doing it yet, but it's a thing to keep in mind for the future. But yeah, the Italians, I didn't realize they had sent volunteers. How many? 5 volunteer divisions. Shoot. Five volunteer divisions. So there's probably a bunch of Italian tanks now that are going to be causing me problems because they actually have, breakthrough and armor. And my divisions have like 3 rifles between a whole division, so they're not going to be able to penetrate those. Infantry equipment, you don't get like anti-tank, like disposable anti-tank, like, the bazookas, you don't get them until 42, 43. That's the tech level for that. So
Mm.
they don't have bazookas. Presumably, they would actually have, like, by this point, they would have some, like, anti-tank rifles, which are actually like guns that fire a high-velocity bullet that can penetrate a tank, but that's not going to do much unless you get lucky and hit the, driver of the tank or a critical component. Not nearly as effective as a bazooka, basically. How long have they been fighting this battle? Well, it stopped these guys from reinforcing Dallas, and that's all I needed. So, Longhorn. No, actually, what am I saying? I need to pull some reinforcements into battle because it's been going on a long time. It's still not going well. And I actually would like to win it. It's pushing across the river near Dallas. So, yeah. The Texan, I'm seeing a lot more resistance in Texas than I expected. I thought the Confederates would keep most of the divisions east and I could just grab Texas and it'd be an easy fight, but no, they're actually fighting me from almost every inch of land now. Maybe they figured out what I was up to and they rushed divisions west. Of course, there's a lot of divisions in the east too, so I don't know. Maybe, well, actually, it's only about one per province, so yeah. These guys are planning or attacking? Hold on. Oh, yeah. They should be supporting this attack, but they're not. Alright. Alright. You are now under the command of Courtney Hodges. Get to it, y'all. Hmm.
I'm against it.
I'm sorry, bear with me a moment. I'm redoing some battle lines and plans and actually ordering divisions to attack places. So microwing some of them, or I'll see if they do it automatically. Nope. Okay, microwing him. Well, no plan ever survives contact with the enemy, as the saying goes. So.
Yeah.
Wait, one? Am I getting the same bug you are? No, I must have accidentally reassigned a division because it's not even assigned to that front line. Red arrow, where's the Golden Cross division? That was supposed to be here. It's all the way up there. Sorry. Got a gap in my front line because I accidentally signed someone somewhere they shouldn't be.
I made her foil.
No, I don't need. There we go.
I need that color.
Hmm. Sorry, I had some divisions in the mountains in New Mexico. Thinking that I would push in certain areas and the Confederates in advance, but they chose not to advance into New Mexico even when it was wide open. So,
Yeah.
all right. And France canceled their own lease. I'm not sure if they ever gave me any of the stuff or. This is the freaking problem with AIs doing one lease. They'll get partway through and then they'll decide suddenly, actually, you have too many rifles, and they won't ever finish the thing. And then they'll send you another one lease that's giving you like, yeah, they cancel it with a week to go before actually getting it. And I think it even creates a relations penalty
Oh.
from canceling. No, it doesn't. All right. Yeah, but they changed their mind halfway through, or two-thirds of the way through, and they're like, nah, actually, we're not going to send you any rifles. Too bad. I was hoping for those rifles. Because, and it's not because they don't think they want to give me any. It's because they decide they want to give me half as many rifles as when they start the one lease. It's like, and then they'll start another one for half as much. It's really frustrating. It means you never get anything from the AI. And they still haven't fixed it. Like, though they just did this, like, fixing a bunch of bugs.
Have you played the newest DLC at all?
No, because I don't own it. But yeah, even though they just did this,
I thought you did.
the newest one, no, I don't own it. So, I was talking a little bit about what's in it,
Did you
but
have the expansion pass?
for Hearts Iron 4, no.
Yeah, the expansion pass 1.
Yeah, no, I didn't
Right.
buy it because it was actually more expensive than the projected price of buying each of the DLC individually because they were throwing in a freaking. I hate when they do this all the time with the Hearts Iron DLCs, and I hate expansion passes. They include like some artwork DLC, and it's like, no, I'm not buying, tank graphics that like it's just a new model for the tanks. It's like, nope, that is not worth my money. I am disabled and struggling to survive, and like this is partly about one, my sanity, but two, more than that, getting my channel. This is my best, most popular, like my most popular Let's Play series is Hearts Iron 4. So I'm gonna make some investment. A lot of stuff I got before, I got long COVID when money was less tight, and when I see a really deep sale off, I know I'm gonna get something eventually. But I'm trying to get my YouTube channel to where it brings some money. So it's not just about like paying for itself either, which it might eventually do. It's if things go fascist in this country, right? Like I'm worried they might. Sorry, I'm doing stuff with the front lines at the same time. All right, I'll pause again. If things go fascist in this country and are looking very much like they're going to go that way, because it's already looking concerning. But if it gets even more concerning, I'd like to be able to get out, right?
Yeah.
And most countries will not take a disabled person, because they can't support themselves and they don't want someone on their welfare systems, like to the point they don't many countries are just, I mean, this is the reality of capitalism. They're brutally selfish because, you know, the rich people who control like everything want to pay as little taxes as possible, and they know the taxes aren't going to get raised on like ordinary people who have already been pressured to the point through a combination of exploitation and the fact that, you know, there's taxes like payroll taxes, they're actually regressive, or sales taxes, value added taxes in Europe.
Yeah.
You know, which are not quite as bad as sales taxes, but they're still a regressive tax that, I mean, tend to affect the poor more than the rich. Yeah, so the extra taxes aren't going to come from the pockets of, you know, ordinary people. They're going to come from probably the pockets of the rich. So they try to control government spending as much as possible, and then they act like they're doing it out of the, you know, I want what's best for the country or something. But no, they're doing it because, you know, their own wallets, right? And hold on, actually.
Actually, now that I've got 50 political power, should I hire that infantry specialist?
I mean, you probably haven't suffered that many losses in your Civil War. It's pretty like nobody has very good guns. No, I would focus on getting stability and war support, you know?
All right.
Like you have those decisions for war support, you also have the stability ones, which are good.
Yeah.
And if you weren't doing the war support one right now because you're worried about maintaining war economy, then the stability one would be very nice to do as well. So. But yeah, if things go, so most countries won't like the rich hold enormous political power. They buy politicians, you know. I mean, none of this is you know, new news to anyone, right?
Yeah.
And oh, this front line's a mess. I'm just gonna redo that. I'd like to take that last little area. They would just push in. This guy is supposed to be executing plans, but he's not. So I may just have to micro it. But if I get my YouTube channel to where it's bringing money, speaking of, shoot, this video's already, I'm gonna have to cut it in two because it's too long. People don't watch things that's much over an hour, so okay, well I'll have to cut it soon anyway. So I guess I can keep talking for a moment. I have to give this guy to Hodges though, which means I need to give someone else the pen. I see. Hold on. So yeah, if my YouTube channel gets towards making money, then I can, you know, theoretically, no guarantees on this, but maybe be able to say, look, I'm supporting myself off of money from streaming. I know I can't do normal jobs, but it's still a job. Will you let me come here? You know? It's maybe a vain hope, but it's my best chance of survival. Since I don't have like family overseas, and no family members seem to be reading the writing on the wall. I keep telling them the country is going dangerously towards fascism, but none of them are listening, so none of them are going to leave. So if I want to survive,
Haven't even gotten to her attacking sports yet.
these guys have their 4th of July barbecue, and then they need to advance. So if I want to survive, it's kind of on myself to do it. To make sure that I have something I can say, like, some kind of potential income, and and countries might let me emigrate from the U.S., immigrate to their country is the hope. And they'll probably tell me to screw off anyways, because my YouTube channel will only be making, if I'm lucky, like maybe let's say 6,000 a year if I get really big. I mean, really, some people make decent livings off of it. Many of them barely survive, right? So, like, they might tell me I'm not making enough money on it, and they're not gonna want someone that poor. So you never know. I can hope, but Thomas Smith, Eugene Williams. Well, this guy looks less shady, and he's not smoking a pipe. Chester Arthur. I'm just looking through the. I just got a choice of a bunch of new agents. Yeah, I'm spying on the Spanish directory up in Bilbao, or actually in Navarra. Because that Intel network should eventually extend into Eastern Aragon, and that'll give some debuffs to the Spanish fascists when they try and attack in Catalonia, which they still haven't taken any ground in Catalonia yet. So the Spanish communists still hang on after all this time. Although I suspect it's more a matter of like they're probably losing fights, but some of these fights they'll probably unplanned offensives. Some of these fights they're losing, but it'll take like 2 months to lose one province. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what am I gonna do? Curl up in a ball and die? I'm sure that's what a lot of like fascists would like me to do if this country is going that direction. And a lot of just unempathetic people who are consider themselves liberals or capitalists, or whatever. But you only really see how what?
I can become a spy master now.
Yeah. That's definitely potentially. How close are you to your 5th intelligence trait?
I just finished form department, so I think I just need one more. So
Oh yeah, you should go right in on after form department, I guess localized training centers. It's expensive, but that one has a lot of use for giving you more selection of operatives. It'll pay for it. Or you could do something cheaper, like another level of passive defense, or you could do radio interception groups, whatever you think is worthwhile. Civilian intelligence, if you're going to be spying on other countries.
Click on map to add a country as decryption target. It says.
Oh yeah, you have to choose whose codes you're going to start trying to break. I would suggest Spain, the fascists, because they're probably going to win their civil war, and then they're probably going to get probably going to get eaten up by the Austro-Hungarians. I wouldn't be surprised if they either accept joining their faction, like they get bullied into it and they put a Habsburg on the throne, or they get puppeted. They could just get annexed, I suppose, if they lose a war, but I think they're going to lose to that. Or they're going to ally with Italy and push into Latin America. Either way, you're probably going to end up fighting Spain at some point, is what I'm trying to get at.
All right.
Yeah, Spain or Italy. Or
what does becoming Spy Master do?
Gives you more operative slots, mainly. More agents. But if you're really close to it, once you become Spy Master, it would start. Once you unlock an operative slot, it takes 30 days to actually before you can pick an operative.
Yeah.
And you're already I guess you could do it, and you could actually be done with that before you even get your next slot. But I would focus on the war support and stuff. I mean, spies are important, but yeah, spies are important, but you really want that like war support because you don't want your civil war to go on forever, and you need stability too, because that'll get you more political power. So it's up to you. You could become spy master now if you want. That'll probably get you an extra operative slot or two. So
I'll probably wait for more war support.
You?
yeah. All right. Let's see, because where are you at war support now? 58%. It'll drop to 38. Yeah, you can get to 43 with a pride of the fleet. Yeah, how much do you get from the decision? The war support decision? 2.
2%. Do you think inciting tensions might be better?
No, you should be able to. I think you'll probably, if you wait on your keep your civil war going for a while, you can probably get 3 of those decisions or 2, and then
Okay.
as world tension climbs, you'll get war support from world tension as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think you'll be able to get to 50%. You might end your civil war, but right before you reach 50%, but you don't get strikes instantly. You get 120 days to get your war support over 50% before you suffer strikes. Like there's no negative effects for the first 4 months.
So
So
the
just
strikes
keep.
go away instantly as soon as I finish getting my war support up?
I'm not sure. I've never experienced them, but I know you have 120 days to avoid them, and I have played the game of getting that mission and then like canceling the mission by getting my war support over 50% just before the strikes would have started before. So I know that that will prevent them. So, and here's the Italian Tank Division, making this a lot bloody harder than it needed to be, but okay. They're still almost surrounded. Almost is the key word. Since the 2 days, 8 days. Oh. No. Looks like they're actually participating in a fight on the defensive. What are they? Oh, yeah, the Italian tanks that decide to attack. They're actually not part of the defense. All right. They're in 2 battles at once, but they're not suffering multi-combat penalties. That's weird. They should be. Oh, well.
Yes.
Hmm?
Sorry, talking to somebody. Boneland?
Very good one. It pierces through people.
Oh. Okay. Sorry.
Hmm?
She's talking about Wildermyth.
I heard something about Homeland. I'm like, what? Did Homeland Security come to your door?
No. Bone Lance.
Oh, Bone Lance. I misheard. Yeah. Oh, if you've ever watched the YouTube channel Second Thought.
Yeah.
Or that guy, like First Thought, Second Thought. JT, that guy, he actually had like Homeland Security come to his door at one point and try and intimidate him out of having his YouTube channel just because he was like spreading socialist ideas. And like, that's un-American. It's like, one, don't you have better things to do? And 2, that's a violation of First Amendment rights. People have the right to, you know, that's constitutionally protected. But it just shows how like our country is already dangerously.
I wonder if they're just if they're just liars. Just 2 right wingers just trying to scare the shit out.
Oh no! I mean, apparently they like had badges and stuff, but they can't. He had the right to free speech, so it's not like they couldn't say you're committing a crime or anything. They just tried to intimidate him and scare him and say like, "We're watching you," basically, without actually saying that, which they can do. It's just wrong, and it is a like suppression of free speech. You know, if the country ever took the rights of socialists to free speech seriously, they apparently are fine protecting it when it comes to like fascists and stuff. But when this country actually took the rights of socialists seriously, then you know a judge would have like fine the government for doing that, but you know, he would fat chance winning that lawsuit, even though it's a violation of his First Amendment rights. They would never enforce it because this, you know, the government exists to protect the interests of the ruling class. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm like, at some point, I bet they'll probably try to do that and scare the shit out of the family member I'm staying with, because, just because I know that they have can't do anything doesn't mean, and I'm not committing crime doesn't mean that you know, everyone knows that, so, or cares. Just took a province. Just pausing, but anyways, yeah, I don't know. So unless I'm just gonna like just accept that the system is already, well, screwing me on SSDI and this rule that when I worked for a university for a while, um, when I was, so when I went to grad school, right?
Yeah.
And got a master's, and then later went back to grad school because that wasn't getting me anywhere, unfortunately, because I got straight in a rural area after I got that degree, and by the time I got to a big city, it had been too long since I got my degree. And like, I tried applying to jobs in my field, but when I had to say I need like financial assistance relocating, they basically laughed at me. Like, we're not going to pay thousands of dollars for you to move to a big city so you can come work for us. We have other people we don't have to, like, who practically pay us. It's like, I don't have the money and it's not my fault. If you consider a personal loan, no loans, no bank's gonna loan you money. You know, it was like just if you don't have any income, it's, I don't know. Anyways, um, to be fair, that was only one company. Most just didn't call me for interviews, but there was one company I think that actually, if I remember correctly, was pretty blunt about this, and they were just rude and probably went on to work for them. Anyone who's that disrespectful and rude, anyways. But some of the companies I applied for are very, like, when I did get to see, because I did still get some interviews then, but basically it boiled down to I haven't been out of the field for too long. My scientific field I got a degree in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but some of the companies were, you know, like I did get interviews with are very nice and had a great work culture. It's just, I mean, you know, scientific personnel are treated better than a lot of other types of workers, but it's very much a labor aristocracy job.
Yeah.
But you know, if you can break into it, of course, which could not, because I'd been, due to no fault of my own, just due to, you know, this like financial situation, gotten screwed. So like not having the money because I bought into the literal capitalists, like it seemed to, you know, I think I explained I was more conservative in the past, right?
Yeah.
And there's all this like, there's all this rhetoric like, oh, young people, your finances suck just because you're taking on too much debt. Don't take personal loans. Don't borrow credit card debt. All that kind of stuff. Borrow as little student loans as possible, right?
Yeah.
And so I'd internalized some of that rhetoric. So I'm like, so I borrowed as little in student loans as possible during my like grad school time. And so even though I worked in grad school, um, I just used that to borrow less money, and I lived extremely frugally. Supposedly I did all the right things. You know, I borrowed very little. I worked in grad school. Like, by any means, I shouldn't have been getting screwed by the system, but I did. But anyways, which is one of the things that opened my eyes, the system not really being honest about what it tells people. And no matter what you do, they're going to blame you and say that you screwed up, even if you didn't screw up, you know? Like, because there is no right answer to, like, if you borrow money, then you're stupid for borrowing. If you don't borrow money, you're stupid for not borrowing money, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
But
They just don't want you to go to college at all.
yeah, well, that's part of it. Some conservatives don't because they don't want an educated proletariat. But I mean, one of his advisors literally said that why he was defunding education. Like in a conference, and someone like recorded it. He literally said he didn't want
Yeah.
an educated proletariat. Like they were aware that if people are educated, they'll consider ideas that like and be more willing to like protest and demand stronger labor rates and maybe even go for socialism. So can't have that. Must instead defund the public university system. So they thought college had become too expensive and people would stop going, but instead what happened is people just accumulated massive debt, and now it threatens the whole economy because people said, no, I'm not going to work for minimum wage. I know I still need a college degree. I think they also hoped that everyone would just go to trade schools because trades don't teach you history or humanities or anything, so they don't create the same level of like social awareness or class consciousness.
Yeah.
Which is why the right wingers were like, "Oh, just go to trade school." It's not because some of these jobs actually do pay very well. It's not the real reason. The real reason is it's a job that isn't threatening to them in any way. So, but yeah, I worked in grad school, and but because of a provision in the law that was put in place by like Clinton, I think I explained he was like a sellout.
Yeah.
Worse than like practically a Republican. He's bad. Even Democrats usually said no matter what, but Clinton was one of the worst of the worst, which is why no one trusted Hillary Clinton because of the way her husband was. Like figured that the two were similar because why would someone marry someone with completely different values from themselves? And then people say it's sexism, but it's not sexism really. It's because they know what kind of person her husband was and they don't want more of the same.
Yeah.
But anyways, so because of a law that was put in place, I think they call it the Safe Harbor Act. Or at least that's what a person at the Social Security Administration told me it was called, and that's what I did a Google search, and I found some stuff by that name for this law. It might not be the real name of it, but that was a nickname of it at least. That says like universities don't have to pay into your payroll tax if you're a student and an employee, as long as you're considered to be primarily a student. And they can play games with what's primarily a student, but in this case I was primarily a student, it's true, but I was doing a job that would have been paid if I was not a student. Like, sorry, would have been paid I was paid, but would have paid into payroll tax. In fact, I was a TA, and I literally worked for a test screen company after I finished grad school, and I did get paid and get into payroll tax in that test screen job, and it was like the same thing, sort of, except it was standardized tests instead of like exams for a course. But it was the fact that test grading is the main thing that TAs do, and you can get payroll tax contributions if you do it while you're not a grad student. But if you're a grad student and you do it, there's no payroll tax contributions.
Yeah.
And because of this, I didn't get Social Security work credits from this job. And because of that, and the period like right after grad school, I was stuck in a rural area and I couldn't get jobs because when I applied to minimum wage jobs, they told me I was overqualified, literally, in a couple cases. And like for a while, I thought that was, people were telling me I was overqualified, and I didn't believe it. And I thought that was just like them being rude to me, like ordinary people. But then an employer literally told me to my face, or over the phone actually, that I was overqualified and that's why he wasn't going to hire me. He said something along the lines of, you're overqualified. You have this like grad degree, and I don't trust that you won't go and move to another state where there's better opportunities, or another part of the country, like in a year or two after.
That's why people don't want to hire overqualified people.
In this case, in the middle of in this case in the middle of like in a rural area, and he was right. I did. A year after I started working in that area, because I eventually found an employer would hire me anyways, I did leave. But a lot of employers correctly predicted that I would leave, and so they wouldn't hire me in the first place. And so I was in danger of becoming homeless, and it wasn't until I think employers could sense my desperation that one finally hired me.
Yeah. What's wrong with hiring someone for a year?
Well, turnover costs, basically.
Yeah.
Like, it costs more if you have to, I mean, they do. HR plays creative games like this, but the basic idea is it costs more if you have to like interview a whole new round of people every year. So
Yeah,
they try and
that's
avoid
true.
people who won't work for them for, you know, they
They're
would
still gonna make a profit off you.
yeah,
What?
they would prefer
What's the
people
big deal?
who want to work for them for 5 years, 10 years, 20
Yeah,
years straight, their whole lifetime, and then they will just fire them at will if it's not working out for
yeah,
them. But they don't want someone who might, for their own reasons, be willing to leave.
yeah,
Because, employers always put their own interests first and they don't give a shit what's best for potential employees. Because, capitalism. I mean,
they
like,
have no reason to.
it's the evils of the profit motive. If it was like a workers' cooperative, I mean, each individual person has less to lose from like, yeah, maybe the whole workers co-op still loses a few $1,000s, but when it's divided up among 100 people, that's like what, $10? They don't care. Most people for $10 are going to, not screw over another human being, but for $1,000 they'll do it.
Yeah,
So like under a socialist system of like workers cooperatives or state-owned companies, this wouldn't happen, especially workers co-ops in this particular case. But I think a state company would probably like it's not my money, it's the state's money kind of attitude. Um,
mhm,
uh, yeah, but I got so I period of unemployment after grad school, jobs when I was in grad school that did not pay into payroll tax, even though they would have paid into payroll tax if I was working for the same job for the same people, but not a student. It's bullshit. It like screwed me over just because I was in grad school and for no other reason than that. Um, and this was something that Newt Gingrich was behind in the 90s that Clinton gave to Gingrich. At the same time, he limited the number of doctors, actually. I think it was the same year, and I think it might have even been the same act because it was part of it was like the balanced budget stuff. Right? It was balanced budget or Cobra, which Cobra has become famous for the healthcare thing, but actually means Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act, which is when they can't pass a budget and then they go back and pass a retroactive budget like a few months later when they can't agree on a budget. That's what a Cobra is. But
yeah,
Cobra has become famous for like, oh, I'm on Cobra, and it's referring to like healthcare after you get fired because that Budget Reconciliation Act, that was one of the few good things that Clinton put into that Cobra Act in exchange for all the other things he gave away for very little. Um, but he gave away like the house and he got like, a cool trinket, which was Cobra, the healthcare provision Cobra, which everyone calls Cobra, even though that's literally the name of a type of budget act. So it's confusing and, misleading.
yeah.
So are any of these guys' divisions moving? No. Oh, I think it's when you add front lines to a general. Yeah, when you add front lines to a general after you've ordered him to start plans, sometimes he won't actually start the plans. I see. That's the
Yeah,
issue.
yeah, it's annoying. Got
I
to
was like,
restart
why
it.
are none of these guys attacking? That's why, because all these front lines were drawn after I ordered them to start. Uh, it does create a kind of like stepwise. You can't push too many unless you're gonna like add front line plans to the end of other ones, which you can do, but it gets weird and buggy. Um, yeah. So the bottom line is that I had a bunch of Social Security disability insurance work credits, but I was 2 credits shy. And there's all these other things. Like there was a job I started in 1 year, but it didn't get my first paycheck the next year, so I didn't earn any work credits for the year I was for part. Even though I was working for part of December, because the paycheck wasn't till January of the next year, so no
Yeah,
credit for that. Like there's all these ways, and if you earn and I think like you have to earn a certain threshold. So I might have earned some money in there, but it wasn't enough to get work credit. And then what would have been rounding down plus, like there's all these different things that can screw you over. But I just barely got edged out of like enough work credits, and instead of like, okay, well you're 10% shy in the work credits, we'll give you 90% of what we would give you. They just we won't let you take any money in disability because you're work credit shy. It's a system designed to screw people. I mean, how does it make sense? You
yeah,
worked a little bit too little, so we're not going to give you anything, and we're going to let you like basically die homeless in the street because we won't give you anything, and you're disabled. Then how are you going to support yourself? I mean, it's completely nonsensical because it's not meant to be sensical. It's meant to have as many excuses as possible to screw people over that might be politically like not suicide because they can say, oh, we're denying this person just because they didn't work enough. But that, you know, the rules are intentionally ridiculous. Like a reasonable system would say, okay, well, you didn't work enough, so you didn't work quite enough, so we're just gonna like pay you less. But an unreasonable system will say, well, you didn't work up to this arbitrary threshold, so we're not going to let you collect anything, you know?
Yeah.
And like the original system was designed. I mean, yeah, the system was kind of created like going back to Social Security when FDR passed. And back then, people didn't go to college, most Americans, nonetheless, grad school. So it made total sense that you couldn't start earning work credits to 21, and then you started, and then there was this like this the way that the system was designed kind of made sense for the work patterns of 1936, you know, or 37 or whatever. It doesn't make sense for the work patterns of 20, you know, tens and 2025 and stuff. Like people work in different ways, and they go to grad school now, and they go to college now. And so the system that was all right back then now screws people over, and it doesn't get fixed because it's an interest of like the ruling class to not fix it, because then they can screw people over and not pay them if they become disabled. And then they say it's we're making it hard to collect disability because it's an incentive not to falsely claim disability or something. It's like, well, yeah, but or you could just do a good job of medically verifying if people are disabled. But this is also a great excuse to screw over people who are disabled and need the disability to survive, like myself. So, you know, because like, God, most days I like have to like lie down after I can't do anything, and then like something like this, I'm going to be paying the price for days after if I do this too many hours. But this is also my most popular YouTube stream, so I kind of have to do it if I'm going to ever get out of this country. So, um, da, da, da. I see. I took that, and these guys are marching in. Sorry, I might keep microing stuff, and it's getting very frustrating, I'm sure. Da, da, da. After a certain amount of doing this, it just gets to be my head hurts, and shoot, I'm at 2:21 anyways. I have to cut this in two. Would you like to call it here, or I'll advance a couple hours because 7 a.m. versus 5 or 7 Greenwich time versus 5 creates different, like you can get bugs that don't ask me about it. I mean, well, and maybe do a little bit of Age of
7 more days when Concentrated Industry 3 is done. That way
Oh,
I
you don't want to forget that?
Yeah. A little worried about forgetting about that.
Yeah. Yeah, let me continue this. I'm already gonna have to cut this in two, and a 2.5 hour video is 2 1 hour 15-minute videos, which are reasonable length, a little on the long side. So yeah, we'll do 7 more days. And then or maybe 8 because I have a tech to do. We'll do 7 or 8 more days and then call it. But I was gonna say, because my head's starting, but if I lay you down for a while and then, or just go and get a snack and take a little time to not use my brain and give it a rest, then maybe we could do some Age of Wonders for a little bit after if you're up for that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I haven't done any new videos in
that
series for a long time, and I'm going to lose all my viewers if I don't do new videos soon. So I've already burned through the entire buffer on that. I'm pretty sure for like over 2 weeks ago now. What?
Yeah, we can play some Age of Wonders.
Or maybe it was only last week I burned through the buffer. Yeah. Because that game's simpler. It doesn't require as much brain power as micromanaging an entire like Wild West front. Like this is a really big front I'm microing. It wouldn't be so hard if it was like a, you know, a small country. Like honestly, your front is a lot easier to manage, but this is enormous. This front line. Oh shoot! I knew it was missing something up. I wasn't paying any attention to my naval production queue, and I probably just got a lot of waste on it. Shoot. Also, importing excess chromium. Well, yeah, I did say I get really tired and I make a lot of mistakes. That just happens. Let me fix a couple things here. I have the presence of mind to oh, what am I? It's just doing weird things when I sign the documents that way. I just finished a ship, so um. Hmm. Give me a sec to try 26. Oops. Doing something to constrict my documents because I will be making that cover, I guess, the next time I play. All right. Yeah. Willamette takes less brain power, and there's kind of a saturation point with each of these series, if that makes sense. Like, I can only get so many viewers for each different Let's Play series I have, because only so many people play each game, and most viewers are people who actually play a game, and they just don't feel like playing that day, so they watch someone else play, right?
Yeah.
So I have to run the multiple series in parallel to grow my channel quickly and get lots of viewers and
Okay.
and yeah, so this is my most popular series, but there are still limits to most popular. And Age of Wonders 3 had some viewers, fewer, but if I ignore those viewers and neglect them, then I'll lose those viewers. So, of course, the reason the actual view count doesn't matter that much. What does matter is that if the algorithm sees I'm getting lots of views in my videos, then it'll send more viewers my way. And if I get more viewers, then some of them will subscribe. What I really need is subscribers right now. So, um, all right. So I'm just manually initiating a couple attacks here because I can't, like, I'd have to cancel ongoing attacks and reinitiate to get the general to do it. So I'm just manually trying to get things quickly because the longer it's going to get harder to push the more time passes, basically, if that makes sense. Because the Confederates, they probably, like, they have divisions and training that aren't actually out yet. You guys are just getting massacred there. Why are they even... It's not even on the front line. Why is he attacking there? Hold on. 20A. Bad is this? Really bad. Needs to defend anyways. Okay, sorry, just fixing a problem somewhere. So they're gonna have more and more men and better equipped divisions, and so I'm pushing now. I can grabbing ground, and then I'm gonna at some point just contain them when they're really close to surrendering and stop pushing, and just like let them build the factories and let the non-aligned states add factories. So that's coming. It's just not happening yet. Trying to gain ground. I'm trying to particularly establish solid defensive front lines in areas like that make sense and force the Confederates to defend in areas where they have poor defensive terrain. So they'll need more. They'll put more divisions there because they know that it requires more to hold me. So, yeah, there's that. Just finished a tech, so. Give me a sec. Oh, that's more Ahead of time stuff. Yeah, I probably just want to save up research days. I don't need to select a new tech yet. Oh, I'm shying. Steel and chromium again? Steel. Chromium I can fix easy. That'll be fun. Yeah, the bigger your country, the more micro things you have to micro at once, which is why I can understand some people are like, screw it, I'm gonna go play as Nepal, you know?
Yeah.
There's a certain appeal to that, although you won't be able to affect the war as much. That's I guess, the real also advantage of multiplayer games is you can play as some tiny country and like, yeah, you can't guarantee success if it's just you, but that's why you have like, your friend is playing, another country and they can help you.
Yeah.
Hmm. I'm gonna go with battlefield support air doctrine, direct ground support, because oh, did Bradley just acquire a trade or something? Why is it? No, he did not. Patton can take something though. Yeah, my strategy, of course, is obviously eventually deal with the Confederacy, but then I figure we just kind of stay here in the Americas for a while and we'll see what goes on in Europe and maybe send volunteers and lend lease. Maybe get involved in wars and just like skirmish and like do sub raiding, but in terms of actual like, I don't know, maybe I'll change my mind about this, but you can't lose I mean, you might not win a war by being defensive, but as long as the other guy can't take you down, you don't lose, and you may eventually accrue, especially if you are like not just sitting doing nothing, but actually like skirmishing the other side and looking for opportunities to weaken them. One frontline issues from taking a province. More frontline issues. I am taking ground all over the place, just not always the most important ground. Right.
Oh, concentrated industry.
Nice.
Okay, now got it paused. Okay.
One more day, and then I am going to be ready to
All right. I got the research
yeah,
improved infantry equipment 2 selected.
nice. And yeah, if you give me one more day, I was saying though, I'm gonna do a tech tomorrow. I'm saving up 30 days, so July 20th, I'll pause, take the tech, and can save the game and cut it there. So,
All right.
But yeah, my overall strategy is my first focus is to make sure that nobody can possibly like navally invade the U.S. and actually do anything to me. And if I end up in a war with the Canadians because I haven't flipped ideology fast enough, that I can beat them down. The British have just finished their decolonization focus, which means
I can conquer Belize.
yeah,
Oh no, it's in the Allies. The Allies is the thing.
most nations have a 50% chance of leaving the Allies. Singapore has a 75% chance, and I think Australia might too. So yeah, that's what's going on with all that. I was gonna improve computing machines ahead of time there. Taking a quick look to see who left and who stayed in their faction. Palestine and Jordan remained in the Allies. Well, actually, better thing would be to ask if the community of nations formed. That's the nations that leave the allies will join it. Singapore is still in the allies. I bet that what it is the AI's all got events to choose whether to remain allies, and they haven't picked yet because the decolonization fires at 1 o'clock, and the I don't have any Marines, so I'm not going to be doing that. Yeah, so if we wait a couple hours, a few hours,
What
which is
focus should I take next?
yeah, so there's a couple lines of thinking here. Worker
Dockyard.
militias, so that you can do it
Yeah.
before you get the event to strengthen the church, which I think fires in late 39,
Right.
or the naval dock, or heroic military college, or the naval dockyards, or ones. Yeah, you might just
Okay.
grab worker militias because
Yeah.
it's. I don't know
there.
when that event fires, and it might be semi-random. Might not fire at all for all I know, but if it does fire, you'll be glad you did it. So, oh,
Yeah.
I just had this was more than just a skirmish against Confederate subs. They actually brought in some destroyers, and I didn't even notice. I lost 2 destroyers. They lost 9 destroyers. It looks like, okay, that was a real battle, and I didn't even notice it was happening. Well, I'm gonna do something with Navy, so I don't. I don't know. I'll do this on camera because I'm about to cut into the carriers that aren't. I was gonna put things in task forces, but I wanted to wait a little bit, or strike forces. Yeah, so I'm assigning some strike forces because I got some ships that are sitting idle in port that could be useful for something like this if it occurs again. Carriers, battleships. They'll go on that once they're done with repairs, I guess.
That's what I want for the lady. Oh, but I don't think I get the.
Hmm.
I wonder what it's like for out there. Doesn't look like she minds hurting. What do you mean? Why would she mind?
See naval invasion plans. Hold on. I just want to check. Sometimes I can see if a nation is importing resources. Oh, Confederacy is importing rubber and steel from Brazil, which they must be doing by sea. Or no, they can just do it by land because they're not at war with you yet. Shoot. Yeah. Okay. They're not going to have any convoys moving, though, over the sea to get to Brazil. All right, so I fixed some Navy stuff so I don't forget. I'm saving it now. Got a tech going. Other things I'm saving up for 1940 techs just a little ahead of time, like industry ones. Viewers on YouTube, thanks for watching. I wish you all the best. Take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves, and may you always find a guiding star to lead you home. Until next time, this is Northstar. Adieu.